Matt Lights here, and I wanted to share what I believe to be the 10 essential tips to help you have breakthrough success. We're going to jump right in. Number one is really understanding fundamentally that ultimately you're going to get what you deserve. And as basic as that might sound, it's really this underlying principle that, in my opinion, so many people in life are truly missing, because they think either they deserve more than they have, or that for some reason successful people have gotten there because they're lucky. And the reality of it is, yeah, sure, there's good luck, there's bad luck, but in the end, you've got to believe that you are going to get what you deserve. Because if you don't believe that, then you're going to really tell yourself, oh, maybe I wasn't meant for success. And when you have that clear-cut belief and understanding that all you got to do is go deserve it, you're going to go out and make it happen. All right. Number two is don't be afraid to daydream. So much like when we're young, we're told, get your head out of the clouds or focus. And yeah, when you're at your computer and you're working, yes, you do need to focus. But the thing is, in all that other time, while you're in the shower or you're driving in the car, allow yourself to just dream. Because I'm a big believer that everything you create, you're going to create it twice. You're first going to create it in that mindset. You're going to really just picture what it is, and then you're going to go do the work to do it. Call it manifestation, call it whatever you want. Just don't be afraid to daydream. Number three is to have one major goal at a time and obsess over it. The general tendency of entrepreneurs and of creators is want to do way too many things at any given time. And I can tell you, as somebody that has a little bit of ADD, actually a whole lot of ADD, that I can totally relate to this, and it's probably my biggest challenge. So what you need to do is always have one major thing. If you have something else that you want to do and you have that thing on deck as the next major thing you work on, great. But in any given moment, there's got to be that one thing that you just wake up in the morning, you stay up late at night, and you give it everything that you've got. Because I'm telling you right now, if you're splitting your time between two major goals, 50% here and 50% here doesn't equate to anything. But when you've got one and you give it all, you can do more than you even believe is possible. All right, number four is learn to enjoy the struggle. Some of the best advice I ever got in my life, because I, by no stretch, was an overnight success. In fact, it took me years to make my first dollar as an entrepreneur. And I remember sitting down at lunch with a mentor of mine. This is a gentleman who had several exits, very successful. And I was just, I was having one of those sort of boo-hoo, woe-is-me moments, like crying in my lunch. And, he looked at me and just said, Matt, you're gonna fail. You're plenty smart enough, but you're gonna fail if you don't change your attitude. And what he really imparted on me was that when you get to the point where you enjoy the struggle and the failures as much as you enjoy the success, when you can truly put a smile on your face when you run into those bumps in the road because you already knew that they were coming, and you can just learn to laugh about it, right? When we're in stressful situations, whether it's an event or a product launch, whatever those things are, and stuff hits the fan, which it always does. It always does. I've gotten to the point where I'm the one that's always I'm laughing about it while it's going on and people think I'm crazy. And I'm a big believer that shift in mindset is a big part of what's unlocked my success, okay? Number five is learn how to create creative win-win deals. Figure out how to, whether it's, number one, for acquiring something, and this is something I learned doing creative real estate, which is basically if you can make it a win-win deal, meaning that everybody involved, whether it's the buyer, the seller, the tenant, whoever it is, as long as it's a win-win deal, you can write it into a contract and you can make it work. And we did a ton of creative deals by doing that. And in fact, one type of creative deal that I've got really good at is acquiring domain names. I acquired the domain name boardgames.com, a domain name that was $500,000 to the previous buyer. And I was able to acquire it for $1,000 out of pocket because I created a win-win deal. So when the company won, the owner of the domain won. And not just in acquisitions, but also create win-win deals with those people that you work with. This has been a major advantage that I've always had, is that those people on my team want to win just as bad as I do, because I make sure that we have a sense of shared destiny. So always be thinking win-win. Number 6, and this one took me a while, but is wake up ridiculously early, all right? And I didn't make this one up. We've all heard early to bed, early to rise makes a man or a woman healthy, wealthy, or wise. But what I found, and I found this out after having kids, was that when I was waking up in the morning, not only was that my most productive time because nobody was bothering me, but I just created this real sense of momentum. When the rest of the world was getting up, on most days I get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I absolutely love it. And by the time everybody else has gotten up, I've already gotten some achievement, I'm already kicking butt, and I'm already ahead of the world. So wake up ridiculously early. Number 7 is stop snacking on media. And this is what I mean by snacking. It's this constant, just like when you're eating food, right? What snacking is when you're just, it's in between meals, constantly snacking. So if you find yourself, maybe it's YouTube, which I know can, pull the best of us in, or it's social media on your phone, you're scrolling, or my biggest nemesis is my email on my phone. Don't snack, all right? If you're gonna check email twice a day, 3 times a day. The key is to allow yourself to get into a mental state of flow. And if you're constantly interrupting that, if you got things dinging all over the place, turn off those notifications, get focused, and kick some butt, okay? Number 8, and this is to make investments to level up. I'm a big believer in this. I think that a lot of times what happens when people are new to entrepreneurship or business or whatever it might be, they're very tight with their money, but they're very loose with their time. And you need to kind of get the opposite mindset. You got to be very particular and careful about what you invest time into. But when it comes to investing your money, if you see an opportunity to, whether it's a course or a coach, whatever those things might be, an event, all right, some of the big investments that I remember one time we spent $5,000 to go to a real estate seminar, my first seminar, and that was so much money then. But it wasn't just what we learned, it was also the people that we connected with. So don't be afraid to make those investments if it can allow you to level up. All right, number 9 is to surround yourself by all-stars. Again, this probably sounds obvious, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. I thought that I was doing this for years, but in reality, I was getting people who are just good enough. And I'll tell you, I used to work with a guy who was so hard-nosed and so stubborn about those people that we would hire that it used to drive me crazy. And I remember this one time in particular, I had a candidate for an operations position, and I really liked this guy. He was young, he had a good attitude, he didn't have the experience. And I'm like, no, let's hire him. We've interviewed a lot of candidates. And he's like, no, we got it. He's good, but he's not an all-star. We have to get an all-star. And I thank goodness that I listened to him, because in the next batch of interviews, we actually found a guy that I've been working with for, almost a decade now, and he absolutely changed our business in every way. He had all the skills that we needed, all the experience that we needed. He didn't need training. He hit the ground on day one, and he's become more of a partner even than an employee. So just make sure to hold out and only surround yourself with all-stars. And that brings me to number 10, and the one that really supersedes the rest, because none of the rest really matter. And that's, you've got to be willing to pay the price. Whatever endeavor that you're endeavoring on, it's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. You're going to run into more obstacles than you even think you're going to. But if you're clear on why you're doing it, right? If your vision is so clear that you can see it, Jim Rohn said, when the promise is clear, the price is easy. So you've got to be willing to pay the price. You got to be willing to sacrifice. Like I said, stay up early and probably also stay up late. But at the end of the day, it's not just the fact of what you're going to get out of what you're creating. It's the fact that you're creating and you're doing it with amazing people. So those are my best 10 tips to get you breakthrough success. And hopefully I'll be seeing you at the top very soon. Nice going, champ. But we don't have to stop here. If you want to really be ambitious, click on one of these videos. Or if you want to go the extra mile, hover over my head, click on subscribe, and then click the little bell. If you want some free goodies, go to swipemystuff.com, and I'll see you in the next training.